Sports writer Matthew Futterman wanted to explore how players like Sinner, Serena, Djokovic, Coco Gauff overcome the mental and physical challenges to reach the peak of pro tennis.
He had access to the daily routines of the stars, and that informed his new book, The Cruelest Game, Chasing Greatness in Professional Tennis. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So yeah, the title is The Cruelest Game, and we see, the end product. We see these stars playing on the court, the top of their game, but we don't see all the work it takes to get to that level, right? What were some of the things that you learned that were surprising to you about how much work it takes to get to this point?
I think the biggest surprise to me was that, so many of these players, nearly all of them really, have been doing just this, playing just tennis for the most part, since they were 6 or 8 years old. Most of them are homeschooled. They go to tennis academies. It's really like becoming a violinist almost, rather than a professional athlete. And in addition to that, you factor in the idea that, if you're the 5th best basketball player in the world, you're first team all NBA, you're making tens of millions of dollars. If you're number in tennis, you're someone like Taylor Fritz who feels terrible about himself because he hasn't won a Grand Slam. So it's really a tough sport to play and a tough sport to compete in, and you make it to the top.
So the cruelest game, I keep thinking, geez, is it any different than the people that are trying to play golf from early on, or, parents that just have their kid in baseball from the time they're 5 years old? Is the cruelty that the payoff can be so small, it's only the top 50 players that really make the money?
I think that where I came to The Cruelest Game is the idea that, you mentioned golfers. Well, golfers walk around, no offense to golfers, they're good, they're what they do. But they walk around a park with a caddy for a few hours in the afternoon. Don't have to travel too much. Tennis is an 11-month slog that takes players all around the world. Is truly a hugely international sport. So it's intensely competitive. I think it's just much different than team sport athletes. Team sport athletes have a tremendous amount of support there. They win and lose with a group of people. Yes, you are out there alone. It's often very hot. You're out for 4 or 5 hours doing this in some cases. And, you can be 1 point away and there's no running out the clock. There's no calling timeouts. There's no substitutes.
Yeah, and you were just mentioning, Robin was kind of alluding to this and you mentioned the touring of this. If you're not in that elite group, I mean, you're really having to come up with the money to pay to go on these tours and really trying to break into this, right? And some of these players are going into debt. Is that right? I didn't know this.
Yeah, you are an independent contractor. Excuse me. I would say the top 80 players in the world are doing okay, although if you're 80th, you're pretty worried that you're going to fall out of the top 100 sometime soon. If you're at the top 100, it's very difficult to break in. You're probably losing money. And if you think about that, I mean, that means there's only 100 decent jobs in the world. Of course, if you make it to the top, if you make it to the top, the payoff is huge. And, you can be like Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz and a few others who make $50 and $100 million a year. But that is very, very few people. It doesn't stop people from trying. It doesn't stop a lot of dads and a lot of moms from putting everything they have in their bank accounts on one child. And that, too, adds a tremendous amount of pressure for someone to grow up with, knowing that their family has invested everything they have in their success or their failure in this incredibly competitive and difficult sport.
We've seen a lot of success in women's tennis with Coco Gauff, Serena, obviously, over the years, but men's tennis in the U.S., I'm trying to think of the last big major winner. How are different countries approaching tennis in a different way than the U.S.?
Well, Andy Roddick was the last U.S. major winner more than 2 decades ago.
Wow.
I mean, I think the biggest issue for the U.S. is that there are so many other competitive sports out there. There are so many choices for great athletes to play. The great issue that people who follow tennis have always wondered about is what would have happened if Michael Jordan had had a tennis racket in his hand when he was 6 years old? What about Steph Curry? What about Patrick Mahomes? The interesting thing about American tennis right now is that it has an incredible athlete in Ben Shelton. I mean, really somebody who could have probably played any sport he wanted to, was a great quarterback in middle school,
Yeah.
and he chose to play tennis. So now we may have the answer to our experiment. The only issue is he started a little late. He didn't get serious about tennis until he was 13 or 14 years old. So the question is can all that tennis he missed when players like Alcaraz and Sinner and others were playing when they were 6 and 8 and 10 that he didn't get, can all that stuff get put back into his hands and into his brain so he can be sort of reprogrammed into a player who makes the top of the top?
And just really quick, was there something when you had access to some of these stars and their routines and everything they do? Is there anything you noticed that, like, wow, the greats in this sport, this is something they did in their training regimen? Is there anything different they were doing to get them to that next level than, say, like somebody else?
Well, there was one evening where I was having dinner with Novak Djokovic before he was playing the U.S. Open. It was a few days before, and his dinner lands on the table, and I can tell you it was a piece of salmon with no sauce, a couple of sweet potatoes with no butter on the sweet potatoes. Then there was pasta with vegetables that was only olive oil, and there was fruit for dessert. And I promise you, he was drinking only water. So that'll tell you something about the sort of asceticism of a great athlete like Djokovic and how much he is committed to taking care of his body. It's incredibly difficult, the discipline that it takes. And he's been doing that for about 15, 20 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, the book is The Cruelest Game, Chasing Greatness in Professional Tennis. You can find Matthew on his website and on the socials. Thanks, Matthew.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for having me.
Sure thing.
All right, time